Jasdan occupied a total of 767 square kilometers in the center of the Kathiawar Peninsula. It was a tiny princely state in British India, small enough to be overlooked by most imperial administrators. Yet this territory produced a specific postage stamp so rare that it exists today only on a handful of surviving envelopes. It is also the biological source of the modern Brazilian dairy industry, a trade that moves billions of dollars a year across South America. Despite the state's limited geography, its rulers projected an image of immense royal status, maintaining a palace and an aristocratic lineage that reached far beyond their borders. The connection between a borderland village and the breakfast tables of Brazil comes down to two specific relics: a stamp with a microscopic printing error and a single gifted cow. In the early 1940s, issuing local postage was a primary tool for an Indian state to assert its administrative independence. It was a physical claim to sovereignty within the British system. Jasdan was the smallest state to run its own post. For decades, philatelic records listed their first stamps as a myrtle green issue from 1942. That classification changed with the discovery of envelopes dated April 1942. They bore a dull green stamp that didn't match any known records. Researchers categorize these as pre-SG1. The name signifies that this printing actually predates what collectors had long considered the state's very first official stamp issue. The evidence is in the spacing. Unlike later issues, these stamps have an extremely close setting on the sheet. It also lacks a specific ink flaw in the typography, near the word Anna, that appears in later printings. These stamps began as a minor bureaucratic attempt to project royal authority. Today, those same technical printing anomalies are precisely what make them some of the most analyzed artifacts in Indian postal history. In 1930s India, diplomacy between princely states often centered on the exchange of elite livestock. For the ruling Kachar family, gifting purebred cattle was a standard tool of high society networking. The Darbar Saheb of Jasdan gifted a purebred gir cow named Mayar to the Maharaja of Bhavnagar. It was a gesture meant to strengthen local ties between neighboring royals. Mayar's descendants, including a legendary bull named Krishna, carried a specific set of genes. They were exceptionally heat-resistant and durable, traits evolved over centuries in the dry Gujarat climate. Thousands of miles away, Brazil was struggling to scale its dairy industry. European breeds were dying in the tropical heat, leaving Brazilian farmers with a massive agricultural shortfall. In 1960, breeders selected Krishna for shipment to Brazil to introduce Indian genetics into South American herds and combat the heat crisis. This created the Girolando, a crossbreed that paired the high output of European Holsteins with the resilience of the Indian Gir. What started as a casual gift of friendship between two local rulers in Gujarat became the biological foundation for a dairy industry on the other side of the planet. Today, 80% of Brazilian milk carries the genetic signature of those original Indian Gir cows. Over 8 decades, massive selection programs distributed these genetics across millions of animals. The result is a breed consistently producing over 6,500 kilograms of milk per year. The genetic exchange has now come full circle. Because the original Jasdan bloodline is prized, Brazilian labs now send embryos back to India to improve the very stock they were originally gifted from. The Jasdan rulers focused on securing British honors and maintaining the grandeur of the Jasdan palace. They built their legacy on ceremonies and titles. Their real influence persisted through things they never intended to be permanent. A local gift and a temporary printing run have survived, long after the administrative maps of the British Raj were redrawn.